Neil Rondorf is with SAIC, the big Washington defense and energy consulting implementation company, not generally known to the public, but greatly known wherever things are done that have a scientific dimension to them. Tell me, what is SAIC, if I've characterized it correctly? What is it doing in ocean power?
Well, I think one of our corporate thrusts now is energy, and one of the new frontiers is the ocean energy. So we've taken decades of ocean experience in oil and gas, telecoms, and defense, and are retooling and reshaping that team to focus on the challenges emerging in the ocean renewable business.
Now, are you into hardware as well as theory?
We have taken a strategic position of being neutral in technology so that we don't become biased on our view of which technologies will emerge as the ones most effective or efficient in the environments. So we're trying to look at the technologies, match them to the resources and their most optimum configuration so we get the best performance.
This is one of the areas where, in fact, many technologies may thrive because of very different locales.
Exactly.
In the past, when you've had a lot of approaches to how you can do something, you've had to jettison some to settle on what you hope is the best. In this case, maybe there are 5 that are good, or 10. They're all fairly promising at this point, aren't they, because they're not proven yet.
I think that's the exact dilemma that we're in. Which of these is going to be the best? And I think it will vary on locale, as you mentioned. Heavy equipment in the northern latitudes with big waves and high tides, they don't necessarily serve the lower latitudes, which have lighter resource requirements. So there's going to be some design trade-offs as this moves forward. And one of my concerns is that we lock in on a technology, on a first mover to market phenomenon, and that not be the best solution.
Well, this has been known to happen.
Exactly.
You know, there's always beta VHS to look
Good
at.
discussion, absolutely.
And indeed, there are many, many people in the nuclear business who are not sure at all that light water reactors were the way to go, but largely because of Admiral Rickover and the Navy program, light water became the world standard. There are some deviations, but really not many. Give me some other examples of where the wrong technology has probably become the dominant one.
Well, I'm not sure I'm qualified to make that decision, but I think, or that parallel. But I think, you know, we've got a long road here in many respects, and I think I liken it to when the Wright brothers first flew. They had no concept of going to the moon, but yet that's where flight took us. And we have to keep an open mind.
Wright brothers are an interesting subject because they may not have been the first to fly, but they were the first to realize that when they got off the ground, they'd have to be able to control it.
Yep.
And everybody else just wanted to get off the ground. It's largely said. I'm not sure if anybody knows. There was somebody in New Zealand who may have gotten off the ground first, but it was like that.
Yeah.
It was the Wright brothers that realized you needed multi-access control. The predecessor of aerolons, they actually,
sure.
I think, changed the wings a little bit to give control. So they actually knew where they were going. It may not have been the moon, but they had some idea where they were going. They were beyond proving feasibility before they proved feasibility.
And again, I think that's a good parallel because they were introducing a new technology that improved the situation, and that has to continue over these first generations of technology. We're proving the concept now. Now we've got to create the market where that can continue to evolve and improve so that that has access to a world market, remote locations, and becomes cost effective.
I noticed, Ron, that you're headquartered in Virginia Beach, not in Washington or your old headquarters in La Jolla. Why Virginia Beach? Do you have projects there, or do you just like living near the sea?
Well, when I retired from the Navy, that's where I was, and that seemed like a good place to be. But it also was where I launched our efforts on getting into renewables, the proximity to the ocean and the advent of offshore wind, where in Virginia there's tremendous resources in both the wind and in the industrial complex that's there. So it's kind of one of those areas in the country where it's the perfect set of circumstances where this industry could really be well supported. So I'm championing that a bit.
What are we learning from offshore wind that can apply to wave and tidal power?
Well, that's a great question. I think there's a tremendous effort to learn some of those lessons and carry those forward. We're going to have similar challenges in cabling. The obvious part of these are the towers, the device, the foundations. Where we really get into trouble is on the cabling. That's a fairly, it's not visible. It often gets ignored by the developer and the designer until the last minute, and then it's, oh, we gotta put the cables back in there. But it's one of the early things that needs to be addressed because it's an integral part of that entire infrastructure.
The work that SAIC is doing, who is paying for it?
We are doing internal investment. We have invested quite heavily in making sure we got the right people doing the right things. We are also contracted by the Department of Energy to work on developing these international standards to make sure that the U.S. companies and the U.S. Government is represented there, and then making sure that those come out in a way that assist our industry.
And you're chairman of the international organization doing the standard setting.
I've just been asked here in January to take that role, so I'm just getting my feet on the ground. There's 14 nations that are participating in that effort right now, and that grows each year.
What's these standards, where will they be applied?
They will be applied in almost all the aspects of the development. They'll be applied in the resource assessment, so we measure them consistently, in the design performance assessment of the devices, so we can do a consistent measurement of its performance, which are extremely valuable to the investor and the insurer to make sure that they're getting their money's worth, shall we say, as well as in the manufacturer design principles of using the right materials and those kinds of things that are so important to give it credibility, insurability, and attractive to the investment market.
I understand that there's still some dispute about the power rating of ocean devices. You don't have the sort of dual thing that you have on land with combustion and nuclear devices where you have thermal and electrical output and you can measure them against each other. You just have electrical output. Is that correct?
That's true, and that's one of the things that's being addressed in the standards development. What's the proper framework and how to measure that power so that there's some consistency?
Is it annualized or is it a unit per capacity of each individual
It's
device?
in the unit development right now because there's not enough knowledge or consistency in the long-term performance. So we're looking at kind of the short-term.
Ron, what do you see as the next hurdle?
I think there's a real challenge over the next several years we went through this in the 70s. We had a energy problem, we looked at renewables, everybody got started, and then the oil embargo left and so did the investment.
86.
Poof. So we face the same thing right now with the advent of shale gas, energy prices are coming down, everybody's heaving a sigh of relief and saying, oh, this is over, we've got a solution. But once again, it's a short-term solution based on fossil fuels, and we have challenges in the future, and I think this is the next step into new renewables that can be part of that future solution.
Very interesting. Good luck to you.
Thank you very
so
much.